Good evening, Greta.
Good evening, gentlemen. And tonight there is breaking news in the disappearance of Caylee Anthony. Could the missing toddler be alive? Casey Anthony sits in jail, a person of interest in her daughter's disappearance. We learned moments ago Casey Anthony's lawyer just met with his client. Casey has been canceling jailhouse meetings with her family, so why will Casey meet with her lawyer but not her family? Well, Casey maintains her daughter has been kidnapped. Casey knows her jailhouse meetings with her family are taped, and she says she's afraid whoever has little Caylee will hurt the toddler. So now the urgent question, does Casey's father, George, know who may have the little girl? And are the people now being watched?
I'm not going to speculate on who I believe has my granddaughter. I'm really not. These people know that they're being watched. They know it.
Who are these people?
I really can't get into that with you.
Joining us live is Drew Petromo, reporter for WDBO Radio. Drew, these people that the grandfather George speaks about, are there any identifying characteristics, or has anyone even said there are these people except for Casey, the mother, who sits in jail?
You know, there really isn't. He's kind of made some outrageous comments in the last couple of days. You know, he said that there are these people out there, but then when asked to specify, he'll always say that that's part of the investigation, and to keep that investigation going, that he won't mention any of the details.
Now, it says part of the investigation. Are the police saying that's part of their investigation, or is this the family doing something?
You know, this is the family doing something. When we talk to investigators, a lot of the times they don't really know exactly what George is talking about. They do say that they look into all possible leads, but again, a lot of times you get mixed messages from the family and then from investigators.
Now, in terms of the child being hurt, is there anything at all to suggest that anyone is going to hurt that child? I mean, that somebody has that child is going to hurt that child? Or is that Casey alone making those statements?
That again is just Casey. I mean, as far as where she is, investigators say they're waiting for that information to come from Casey. They're looking for her, but you know, as to who has her or if she's in any kind of danger, you know, they haven't been able to say that. One point that I think is important to make when we're talking about the reason why Casey isn't meeting with her family, when that first developed and we asked Cindy Anthony why she wasn't you know, meeting with her daughter, why her daughter turned her away, she didn't mention anything about protecting the child. What she said was that she may be mad at her for a visit that Cindy had canceled, and you know, that it was basically her prerogative to deny her these visits. You know, we didn't get that from her, that this was out of protection. That came from the lawyer Jose Baez.
And of course, the lawyer, at least I would think that the lawyer would want to stop any of those conversations with the family, because under Florida law, those conversations do get out, and that's the lawyer's job to try to stop that. All right. What's Casey doing in jail all day? She's not meeting with her family. Do you know what she's doing?
Yeah, well, I actually talked with a jail spokesman, and he said, you know, it's a pretty secluded life that she's living in there. She is separated from all of the prisoners. She has about an hour a day to take a shower, and for hygienic reasons. She can brush her teeth and stuff like that. Then she also has an hour of recreation. I talked to him. He said she's not watching much TV. She does catch the news every once in a while, but for her to watch TV, they have to take all the other inmates out of the room so that she can be in the TV room in seclusion. So moving her around the jail, everything is a big deal, because you know, she's in such a high-profile case and she's in protective custody.
In a few moments, we're going to have the record of the log of the phone calls on June 16th and June 18th. But let me ask you this: are those June 16th, 17th, and 18th? Are the police focusing on those days as being particularly important?
Those seem to be very crucial days, and what we've heard from, what we've learned from the phone logs is that there was a flurry of calls made from Casey to her mother, Cindy. They went unanswered. That was the 16th. And the 17th, the neighbor says he lent Casey a shovel for about an hour. Then the next day, June 18th, she had her car backed into the garage like she usually didn't have it. The neighbor said he thought that was suspicious. So those are 3 days that, you know, could determine the outcome of this investigation.
Drew, thank you.
Thanks for
Now,
having me.
we have our team on the ground in Orlando, Florida, digging for answers in the disappearance of little Caylee Anthony. And moments ago, on the record, producer Steph Watts spoke to a member of the Orange County Sheriff's Office.
In relation to the impounded car, is that going to be released to the parents soon?
Not anytime soon, and my understanding, the parents have been very cooperative, so they really have not asked for the car back. So, of course, it's still an ongoing case, so we're going to hold on to it till we feel that it's prudent for us to return the car.
In the car forensics, would they have checked if there was gas in the tank, and do you know that if there was gas in the tank?
They would have checked that. However, I really don't know. My understanding, I've heard both ways. I've heard that there was and there wasn't, so I don't know, and I'm not talked to the detectives to verify one way or the other.
At some time in the timeline, Casey ordered a pizza. Has the pizza guy been questioned?
I don't know that. Again, you know, keep in mind that pizza, the smell of pizza, compared to, like the detective said, the smell of a human decomposition, there's just no way that pizza will ever smell like human decomposition.
I know her brother released to us that in her phone record she had placed calls to a couple of pizza places, and I didn't know if that was pertinent to the investigation, if that's something that should be looked at as everything.
That could very well be. I mean, again, keep in mind that for 31 days she was not with her family, and I'm speaking of Casey. So again, we do want to find out, and we're trying to put together at any given time where she may have been, so that we do find Caylee.
And just as we try to kind of figure out how you guys are going to do the investigation, the tow truck driver, for example, that would take the car, would that be somebody that would be questioned normally as to what happened that day?
Sure, and to see, you know, how they got the call, and remember, they're the ones that took the car, and subsequently, they're the ones that made contact with Mrs. Anthony.
So people like that could all potentially be witnesses at trial.
Absolutely.
Now, we're hearing some conflicting reports about, and you may not be able to answer this, about Casey and her family's communication. The family told me that they had decided to pull back communicating for her. They would still keep their appointments booked, but not go, to kind of put some pressure on her and sort of make her feel isolated. Now we're hearing that she's not seeing them. What's the real story with that?
We haven't, excuse me, I'm sorry. We have not been told as to what's transpiring between the family. I know that the family were scheduled to see her, I believe, on Sunday, and for whatever reason, it's my understanding that Casey herself chose not to see the family. But we're not sure, and we're not privy to what exactly has been going on. I know that the Anthonys, again, very cooperative. They have spoken to the detectives, but again, I don't know what has transpired between the detectives and the Anthonys.
Has the classification of this investigation changed?
No, not at all. We still have a missing child, and when we do get back the results, we're still going to have a missing child. I mean, so obviously we may have to look at other avenues, but when it's all said and done, we have a missing child.
Now, just clear for me what the actual classification is.
It's a missing child. That's it. We're looking for a missing child, and even though, you know, we talk about the smell of the car and everything, detectives have been adamant that we would love to find her alive and well, and as the Anthonys also have their hopes up that she is alive and well.
I guess the reason I asked the question is because, you know, time and time again we see the CSI, the crime scene investigators, returning to the house, and you can't help but think, you see crime scene investigators and you think this is becoming to look more and more like a crime scene.
Well, what it is keep in mind that, and as you know, the Anthonys have been here several times, and during conversation things come up, and it's very common in an investigation. When you do investigations, things come up that you may not have known before, or they may have been overlooked, again, because we didn't have the knowledge. So when something does come up and we feel that it's prudent to go back to the house, for example, to pick up an item, then we'll do that, and that's what has happened here.
Yesterday, part of the some of the people that visited the home, part of that was the child sex crimes unit. What is their involvement in this case?
Well, the unit itself, they work not only sex crime, but they do work missing children. So it's kind of a double thing. You know, here we're missing, right now there are no indication of sexual abuse. That's never been brought up, and we have no reason to believe that was the case. We do have a missing child. So that's why they're there.
Yeah, I heard that unit has particularly skilled investigators.
And that's correct. They've trained for this, and they have the resources that another unit may not have. But again, we're using all the resources. I mean, we have a lot of people assigned to this, to include the FBI, the FDLE, and so there's a lot of people involved in this case.
In total, how would you, I know you just kind of guesstimated, but how many people would you say are working on this case?
I would say anywhere 12 to 20 people at least. And again, that's including detectives, FBI, FDLE, the civilian workers, the victim advocates. So there's a lot of people that are really interested. Crime Line, they're taking, to date, we have over 1,500 tips.
Now, we're reading some reports in the paper today about something that you and I discussed a while ago, which was the forensic testing on the odor. I think you remember a couple of weeks ago you and I had this conversation. I had done some research with Dr. Bodden. He felt early on that they were still in the early stages of developing the technology for that, but it sounds like this lab in Tennessee is advanced in that area.
I'm not aware if they've actually sent anything to that lab. I heard that on reports and all, but I know that they're willing to use whatever resource and technologies out there to help us go further with this case. So that is a possibility, but again, I don't know. It's not been confirmed if they actually use that lab.